So number one is a lack of responsibility. So number one is a lack of responsibility, elevating your feelings above your better sense of judgment. You just feel, I don't feel in love right now. I don't feel like talking to you. I don't feel like. Once you are totally surrendered and yielded and submitted to your feelings, you're not going to make it. All right? You are likely not going to make it. The second one, number two, is a lack of responsiveness. All right? A lack of responsiveness. All right? And there are many studies that have shown this. That one of the things that can either make a relationship work or not work is how you respond, your responsiveness. In fact, they call it a bid for connection. All right? People like Gottman and the rest have done great studies on this, but I've always known this, how you react whenever your partner is reaching out for a bid. They call it a bid for connection. So every time in a marriage or relationship, your partner is seeking to connect with you by their little actions, and how you respond to them at that time will, to a great extent, determine if that relationship will work. So what do I mean? The one that made me realize this vividly is when those earlier days, I would send my wife a meme from Instagram, a funny story, a funny post, and she would not respond. Something like that. No, you can't. So when I now finally saw people like Gottman and Co. doing it as a study, and I said, I was trying to tell you, there is a bid for connection. When your partner comes into the house, on that example, and you ask them, how was their day? And they say, wow, the day was just rough, or it was just somehow. And you do not, ask them exactly what they mean. You do not seek to continue that conversation. That response they gave you was a bid for connection. How you respond to them also would have helped both of you connect. They're seeking to connect with you. Sometimes women do this one more. They show it by their attitude that they're not in a good mood or their day was bad. And women expect men to read their minds, read the room, and read their attitude. That's how women just work. I don't know why, but they're like that. Women just want you to read their minds, read the room, read the environment. And most men sometimes are just, caught up in their own world, clueless about that. And, just as how was that day, she just says fine, but you can see her face is down, but you don't bother to ask. In fact, most men, when they see a woman giving attitude, their own wisdom to it is to give her space, because that's what the man would like. But a woman, when she's feeling down, she doesn't want space. She wants companionship. She wants you to ask what's going on. So your responsiveness, ability to respond to the need of your partner per time is very important. And sometimes your partner is not going to ask you directly. They're going to expect you to notice and feeling that need. Sometimes they're even going to ask you directly. So you must become responsive. Relationships or marriages break when there's a lack of responsiveness. You know that your partner likes a certain kind of food. Do you respond? To connect with them at that level. Do you respond to meet that need? Your partner needs to do this thing or wants to do this thing. Marriages that thrive, you notice they are very quick to respond to the needs of their partners. And marriages that will fail, you notice there's a total lack of responsiveness. Somebody is craving, nudging, even begging and asking for a certain need to be met. It might be physical, it might be emotional, it might even be sexual in a married context, and their partner is just not responsive. All right, that could be a challenge. Once partners go on and on and on without their needs being met, it now becomes a problem, and it will definitely ruin a relationship. So number one, lack of responsibility, owning up to that this relationship is your job. Number two, lack of responsiveness, seeing the needs of your partner and not rising to the occasion. Number three, a lack of restraint. So this is when someone or people in a relationship do not understand that you need to show restraint. In a relationship, managing your emotions is crucial. So you can't get angry to the point where anything is allowed or anything goes, as we normally say it. Where I've seen people that once they're in an argument or they're quarreling, there's nothing off the table. There's nothing off limits for them. So they use all kinds of words on their partner that they're going to sleep with on the same bed tonight, on the person that is going to prepare the food they're going to eat tonight. All kinds of words, totally no limits. It's always a big shock for me, the kind of language I see some couples use on each other. Fool, bastard, bastard, as I normally say, idiot, bloody fool. Your mother didn't train you well. You're a big fool. I mean, how? If in a relationship or marriage where there is no restraint, where anger is allowed to go to any length, insults and abuse goes to any length, those kind of relationships usually will not last. There has to be restraint. Another form of restraint is also boundaries. If there's no restraint in terms of boundaries, then you notice somebody's in a marriage or relationship and still sees the need to keep in touch with their ex. Oh, that is a big lack of restraint. Yeah, he's my close friend, my business partner. There must be restraint. You can't keep in touch with your ex. It's a dishonor. In my little understanding of infidelity and cheating, a large portion of it is from exes. They are easy because you're not having to start the whole process again. This person already knows you. You guys have a history. You have a plan. You have systems. You have structure. All you need is one chat. Just one chat can get the ball rolling. One call. Sometimes one comment on their post. So you are just playing with fire. All right? There must be restraint, boundaries. There's a level of closeness you can have with the opposite sex. Even apart from your exes now, even the opposite sex, there's a limit to the kind of relationship, the kind of conversation. All right? You can't be giving somebody of the opposite sex a toe-to-toe detail of your day. Oh, this is what I'm doing now. I'm going to go for lunch and I'm eating rice. I'm eating chicken. Nah, you're already crossing the line. That's too much details. All right? Too much details with somebody of the opposite sex, especially somebody that is not the friend of both of you. It's just your friend and opposite sex. There must be boundaries and restraint. All right? How was your day? Have you eaten? That have you eaten is the worst. Is the sign of relationship. Once you ask have you eaten, you're in a relationship. There must be restraint, boundaries. All right, boundaries. A lack of restraint is a third thing that would definitely destroy your relationship. And the last one, and this is not in any way exhaustive, I just speak for. All right, I just speak for. The last one is a lack of resolution. Another thing that can break a relationship is when both of you or one of you are used to quarreling or having disagreements that are unresolved. You keep and pile unresolved conflict continuously. Very soon, you see, almost everything impacts a relationship either positively or negatively. There's hardly a neutral event in a relationship. One is either building a bond or building the gap. That's how it works. One is building the bond or building the gap. So you need to be conscious to identify that this activity, this thing that happens between us all the time, is it helping or is it causing trouble? So even scientifically, they found out if you have a negative interaction with your partner 5 times, the ratio is 5 negative interactions before you have 1 positive one, so that marriage is going to end in divorce. That's what the statistics say. If you have 5 negative interactions, that means in a day, if your interactions, 5 of it, you have 5 consecutive that are negative before you have 1 positive one. So the numbers are not good. You are most likely going to end up divorced or broken up. So if one person is always insisting to be right, one person is always, must be right, is his way or no way, always oppressing the other, and the other thinks they can cope with this. Trust me, you can't cope with it. After a while, that marriage is going to break or that relationship is going to end.